Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo! Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be talking about some of the new officers in the Transporter Pattern store. Now we did a longer video of this last night, but we're going to talk about those offers individually. I did a video on Hairy Mud last month, but what I wanted to do is kind of go over some of the more niche things that you can do loadout wise that are really fun, particularly with one or two ships here or there. Now, kind of made fun of him last time we talked about because he was in the store and, you know, getting purchase price of like total maxing was, what do we determine, like $6,000. It was insane. But when it comes to actually unlocking and then getting them now through the ultra recruits, the premium recruits, and then of course the transporter patterns, I want to talk about these three as a whole. Now, I said this in the video, and I guess we might as well just cover this. We're not going to cover all three officer ability, but I will tell you the value of where I place them in the transporter pattern store. So number one, that should be your focus in the TP store, is unlocking Pike. And real quick, a refresher on how this works. If you don't have transporter patterns yet, because I know a lot of people don't, you get them from maxing out rare or epic officers. A rare officer will give you 75 transporter patterns per shard, and then an epic will give you 150. So once you max out those officers, you'll start getting transporter pattern shards that then you can then use to get better officers that you don't currently have. So number one is unlocking Pike, not necessarily maxing him, even though this really will help you when it comes to XP grinding. Unlocking is key. Number two for me is 6 of 10. Armadas are a key part of the game, whether you're doing mud mods, you know, with the Stella, whether you're doing regular armadas, even the worm mods and the Borg stuff, bleh, all that. Armadas are becoming more and more important, especially with, you know, what we believe is Armada updates coming to the game. So getting 6 of 10 to minimum tier 3, tier 4, very important. Khan. Now, Khan is kind of a mixed bag because he's number 3 on my importance list, but if you remember, at level 28 and above, you'll start getting him doing Swarm Sundays. So it's up to you on whether you want to actually go after Khan, but I would say that he doesn't really get super good until tier 4. So you're going to want him, plus the independent credits need to upgrade him. And then those are the top 3. Now the next 3 are all one group together. Woof, right here. Kang, Sharvanik, Marcus, all 3 need to be maxed. All 3 of them. Take them max. Rank 4 is the absolute lowest they should be. These are some of the most important officers in the game, and when it comes to in-game fighting, level 34 to 50, these 3 are probably the most 3 important individual officers in the game when it comes to PvP. Now, as a group, there are different groups. I mean, Lorca, Tilly, fantastic combo, things like that that are really good. But individually, the Trinity officers are some of the best in the game. So those 6 officers are the most important. Now, I would say after those 6, these 3 kick in. Mud, Eurydice, that's how I like to pronounce her name. I realize that's not how you pronounce it. People like to correct me on things. That's my thing, y'all. Chill out. And then the other Hairy Mud. So Hairy Mud, Mud, and Yuri. These 3 are probably next. And there's some very unique crew loadouts that you can do with each one of them. So what we'll do is we'll have videos covering, I'll probably do a video covering technically it's Mud 1.0. The weird looking pirate goatee was the first one. Then Rainn Wilson was the second one. We'll cover Rainn Wilson's today, and maybe we'll do this as a combo in maybe a day or so you can really kind of get an idea of what you're getting. But I want to talk about some unique crew loadouts with this guy because it's really fun. Now, remember in the last video where we talked about Captain's ability, how he works, and once again, Armadas are going to be a staple for him. There's some really intriguing things that you can pair with ship-wise. You know, we talked about comparing or pairing him up with the Pylum so that you can take advantage of that double shot ability. And if you pair him with Pike, you're basically going to guarantee that you have this happen. You know, depending on how you load out your crew, you can make this like a 98% guaranteed, essentially going to happen, or slightly higher. And then you run out and then try to take advantage of that double shot and then use it to take on your enemies in PvP. So what I'm foreseeing is, and I talked about this before and on the live stream, but without making you go watch 2 hours of content, the cool thing with the Muds and Yuri is you're essentially getting secondary and tertiary PvP loadouts, which for territory capture is very important. And then, of course, you can use these in Armadas because we know Hardcore Fit and Mud and then Hairy Mud all have Armada abilities or Armada benefits where they're not limited to just being in the Armada section like some of the new next generation officers are. Shout out Beverly Crusher. She is, oh man, if she was PvP, she'd be unbeatable. But I guess because she's a rare, she can't be stupid strong. She can only be strong. she's good. Now, this is apparently I lost where Harry Mudd were. 2 steps ahead, 40% chance to range shield mitigation, 98% for the first 2 rounds. This is literally not that important to me. I've talked about why in videos past. This is simply not that good. I mean, it's okay, I guess, but unless you're doing this to counter Harrison, I guess there's a situation where at level 28, you've got like a Centurion facing a Saladin, and the Saladin has Harrison, and he's just been blasting you to death. This can help stop that Saladin from one-shotting you, I guess. So we'll see how it plays out 6 months down the road when we see what those 20s are going through in terms of growth and everything. But the secondary, the 823 ways to die, this is the key. The 30% chance, then this is at rank 2, obviously gets higher the more that you rank up Harry Mudd. And shout out, of course, to Elcars for the little graphic that provides the information of what that is. Double the shots of all weapons of the ship for the first round of combat. Remember, round 1, it will double the shots. That could be very useful, especially when you're talking about something like a Pylum, or if you're a lower level player, a Saladin. So we're going to take the Saladin out with a Pike Moreau, just so we want to make sure it happens, so we can show you what that looks like through a battle log. So, un momento, por favor. So here's the fight that I wanted to go out and show you versus a hostile. Now, I'll also have some friendly logs from a whale that I got them to test this out on their Pylum. So I really wanted to show both sides, like a free-to-play or a low-level player, like with a Saladin using this, or a higher level player, so we can kind of get both perspectives. And you can see how this could be a very overpowered situation, not necessarily as a primary crew. I don't know how many people would use this as a primary, but I want to show mine hitting a target and with no criticals the amount of damage I put out on my Saladin. So you'll see I've just got Harry Mudd. There's the Moreau for the penetration, but here is the numbers right here. Those are some good numbers. If you add these up, you're going to get about 1.5 million total damage produced with no criticals. Now, if I would have had a critical launch here, it would have been even better. But this is a fight that I knew I was going to lose, but I went in to do 1.5 million damage. Not a lot of ships at your level, say 28, are going to be able to withstand this. And the good thing about this strategy is it takes a lot of the RNG out of it in terms of like relying on criticals. So like if you're doing a Gorkon, Kurla, Harrison loadout, you're trying to get a critical and the shield bypass to put out as much damage as you can to the floor. Now I want to take a look at the video where we see the Pylum using a Pike Harrison Mudd combo as a, like I said, as a side test for fighting in PvP, using with some PvE and stuff. So as you can see in this log, now the Pylum is very special. Harry Mudd's going to make it to where the Pylum shoots 14 times. And then Harrison's going to make it to where, well, let's just say shields don't matter for a very short time because of how Pike is increasing both of their abilities. Now this would work on the Saladin as well. I just don't happen to have Harrison to show it off, so I had to get somebody else to show it off. But as you can imagine, having this as a PvP officer in territory capture would be very, very useful for short fights. Now, if a fight isn't over in the first few rounds and you're going against something with a ton of hull health, you're going to get wrecked. But that's okay, because the idea behind this, if you want to use Mudd, you can use it in certain situations to great success. Anything that is a first round ability only, it's going to limit you to that round, which is exactly what Mudd and Harrison do. When you're talking about trying to build things around that type of process, you can actually find some really productive, really useful crew setouts for different areas of the game. And that's kind of where I come to when it looks at Mudd. He is an okay officer with not a great captain's ability, with a very specific but useful officer ability. Now, is it one that I would have paid for in the store? Well, as I talked about in my video last month, no. But is it one that when he becomes available and I can use it, is it useful? Yes, I think it is. And when you combine it with things like, as we said, Pike, who's going to help increase your chance of that actually working, or at least in terms of proccing, not working, that's not the best terminology, but increasing the actual working of that, then you're going to get a very nice officer that's going to provide you a little bit extra oomph in certain situations. Now, it won't work with everybody. Remember, we're focusing on round 1. And technically, his officer's ability, which starts at 20% and goes up to 60%, can work on any ship. But the more shots that you have in the first round, the better. In theory, you could use him on, say, a D3 if that was like your secondary ship or something in territory capture. But I know one problem a lot of players have, especially with the away missions where you're sending out so many officers to different missions now, is finding a way to load out multiple ships and still be effective in PvP. This is giving you another card where immediately out of the gate you can now combine your PvE officers like Pike, and then at the same time trying to look for a node. Sorry, everybody. Now also allowing you to pair with some PvP officers that you normally wouldn't run in a standard run out, and hopefully produce some success. Shout out to, well, a couple people. One, me. Two, you, but more importantly, three in MagMoto, who provided that log for a higher level perspective of using this crew, throwing it against a poor little Enterprise that, well, literally didn't get a shot off. It was a one shot because 14 shots immediately is nasty. And then also against just a heavy trader. Now, you wouldn't use this for a PvE loadout, but simply showing the ability working and how it works. I think it's very interesting. I want to know what you think below and what you like to know in officer videos upcoming. Just like the ship ability video or the ship crewing video, we're going to do that for officers. So let me know down below. Most likes determines the next one. Live long and prosper. Stay safe, other Space Cowboys. We'll catch you on the next one. Dude, oh, got a burp caught in my throat. That was gross. Ugh.
I would like to request to Scopely to add more Klingons to the game. That is what I was told to do, and so I am doing it. Which, you know, is not maybe the best thing as a leader to just do what you're told, but it seems like a good request to make, to add more Klingons. Everything is better with Klingons, am I right? I am right, because I'm a Klingon. Klingon mach tach judge! We are Klingons, let it remain. All right, Laurel's on a roll today. She's very excited.
An even better outro than the intro. Yeah!
Woo!